friends, Georgina Wonder here, your friendly Hecatean witch. Today I want to talk to you guys about this book. Hades, Myth, Magic, and Modern Devotion by Jamie Waggoner. Forward by... Morpheus Ravena. So I really enjoy this book. I liked it a lot. I liked it so much. I loved it so much that I as you can see in the background, I raised an altar for Hades. Excuse me. And I did it and it's kind of like weird that I finished it right by the solar eclipse and the new moon. Anyway, like I was saying, I finished it. I still have to read the conclusion. I haven't really finished it yet, but it's not that much like the conclusion and then anyway, so but it's really good because it talks about the mythos of my bedroom is by the avenue. There's an avenue right outside my window, and so I live in the Bronx, and the youngins, they love to be loud with their cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. So I have to live with that. In the city, you have to live with that. I'm sure in Puerto Rico they used to do that too. Anyway, so this book is really good. You know why? Because it talks about the mythos of Hades, like all the mythology surrounding Hades, and how to if you want to have a devotion to Hades, it tells you, his symbols and what resonates with him, and his story, his personality, and because she pulls a lot of her devotion from doing research on the mythology of the Greek mythology, and from I'm sure the stories that are in the Iliad and the Chaldean oracles, and what was the other ones? The other oracles. There's so many. There's like 3 of them, I think. But anyway, so her name Jamie Waggoner. She is a devotee of Hades. And Hades, she talks about it in the book that Hades is very misunderstood. And I always had that feeling about him, especially after the new take on his story, which is like I think it's the Lower Olympus and A Touch of Darkness. A Touch of Darkness is a series novel. It's a series. Is also very similar to Lower Olympus because both of those stories are set in modern times. Like the gods are like coping with modern times, like with the cell phones and texting and social media and the 21st century. So it's a take on the Olympian gods in the modern times, in our times, and how they're being worshipped and how they're dealing with humans and how in this era that we're living in. And so it's very interesting take on the story of Persephone and Hades and the Olympian gods, because in those stories a lot of the Olympian gods are mentioned. And so it is so interesting. And so because I read A Touch of Darkness and I read Lower Olympus volume 1 and 2. I haven't read 3, and I haven't read the other, because I think A Touch of Darkness, there's 4 books, And so anyway, so I just read the first book, the first novel, and then I read volume 1 and 2 of Lore Olympus. So, and it's the way that they depict and write Hades is very compelling. Like they looked at him in a very compelling way, like a romantic, and how he loves Persephone. And in the mythology, in the Greek mythology, is not far-fetched. You know, like he still loves, of course he loves Persephone. He doesn't, you know, go around cheating on Persephone like Zeus and Poseidon did. And he's not this awful god that, you know, he gets ahead by using humans, you know, like Zeus and the other gods, because it's not only Zeus, because Athena has done some horrible things, Apollo have done some horrible things, Artemis have done some horrible things. And if you really read the Greek mythology, mythology is very, the gods are very, I don't know if I should say evil, but they're just, yeah, I guess, because they're both. They're depicted as good and evil, you know, like how we are. That's how we are. So, not like the Christian God that is so everything is good and they're all good and love. But so I wanted to read this book as soon as I saw it, because I knew that it was going to be a different take on Hades. Hades did abduct Persephone, which is a bad thing. But in those times, in the ancient times, marriages were arranged. And whether the bride liked it or not, she had to marry. And so it's not that, like I said, far-fetched from the truth that, you know, she was sort of abducted as a metaphor, like she didn't want to get married, but she got married. But then in some stories of the abduction, she goes willingly. And but, you know, Persephone eventually falls in love with Hades, and Hades, of course, loves her and gives her everything she wants. And in this book, there's a take on it that, you know, she talks to Hades, or Hades come into her and talk to her, like, directly. And so there's some paragraphs, you know, the chapters always start with like Hades speaking, and Hades speaking through her. And so he talks about, I'm gonna read, like, for example, Good Counsel, which is chapter 4, and it says, Hades speak. I don't know if you can see it. Hades speak. It says, so this is Hades speaking. So, sitting side by side on our thrones, I held Persephone's hand as we watched him enter the room. I think he's talking about Orpheus. A skinny youth pretending to be grown, with dirty shins and the dust of the road on his sandals. He looked tired but determined. He pleaded, and then he bargained. Let me sing and play my lyre for you, said Orpheus. And if your heart are moved by my song, then let my beloved return with me to the land of the living. So it starts like that, like it is him talking through her. And there's some input here later on that it's like, you know, he is, you can tell that he's him talking through her. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm trying to be very scholarly, but I'm not scholar. I just went to an associate's. I just have an associate's degree on interior design. But anyway, so I just loved that, you know, there's this type of book out there where you can start your own devotion with Hades. The reason why I started my altar, because it talks about, you know, if you really want to start a devotion with Hades, you can, by raising a altar, it's like you're calling Hades to come and be with you. So like, for example, here it says creating an altar for Hades. Creating an altar to Hades. If you like to begin exploring a relationship with Hades, a good first step is to create an altar dedicated to him. An altar is a conduit to invite the presence of the unseen one. The unseen one is Hades, because Hades is gifted the helmet of invisibility by Hephaestus. And Hephaestus build these weapons like the trident for Poseidon, the bolt for Zeus, and the helmet of invisibility for Hades. And so the helmet of invisibility is very important to Hades because he's the unseen one. Like, you don't know he's there, but he's there. Like, this is one of his myths that you probably have encountered him, but you don't know that it's him because you can't see him. He's not letting you know that it's him. He's just, because like what she says in the book, like she didn't know that Hades had come to her in the past until she became an adult and got to learn how to worship Hades. And then she realized that Hades have come to her before as a child. It's just very interesting. And like, for example, like it tells you that his symbols, herbs and plants that are associated with him. It tells you here invitation to practice. And then invoke Hades, the unseen one, for necromantic, divination, communication, and ancestry with ancestors and the dead, aligning with cycles of death and rebirth, and assistance with situations requiring invisibility or transparency. And then down here, she writes a hymn. See right here, writes a hymn. So this is like a guide to get to know Hades and to worship Hades. And it's just very, very, very nice. Like, I wanted to read you this paragraph in the book that says reframing masculinity about Hades, because Hades, like the other gods, they were all like they would rape women, they would impregnate humans and other goddesses and other nymphs and things like that, and you wouldn't hear those stories by Hades. Like Hades, yes, he abducted Persephone, but he stayed loyal to her. I think it was Persephone who cheated on Hades with Adonis. But anyway, so she talks about reframing masculinity, and there's a paragraph here that she kind of highlight a dialogue that someone had about Hades in. I'm gonna read it. It starts like this. Murphy Robinson is a transmasculine wilderness guide, activist, and magic waver who has worked with Hades over the past several years. In an interview conducted for this book, they share some of their personal experience of working with him. Speaking as someone who has been on a journey of embracing masculinity over the course of my whole life, because he's a trans man, I think, or trans woman man. I'm not 100% sure. Hades is compelling because he's masculine. He is masculine, but not macho. His energy feels much more elegant and balanced than other male deities. The gods are interested in what is alive and vital in us, and Hades has always been very affirming of my masculinity and helping me express it. Murphy goes on to explain that it can be difficult to navigate the competing narratives of masculinity in today's culture, but working with Hades can help. They observe, meaning, what's his name, Murphy? They observe on one hand, those of us who identify as masculine want to be good, supportive, feminist, and help dismantle the patriarchy. On the other hand, we are encouraged to be bold and confident in our masculinity. How can we be all these things at once? Hades presents a relatively functional model on how to accomplish that. Hades does not instigate wars or heroic exploits, opting instead to tend to the underworld, its denizens and guests. He cultivates a stable environment for the shades. Shades are the souls of the dead. His approach to his duties focus less on himself as an individual and more on a sustaining balance for the whole. So it's like a different take on the male god, because I became a witch. I became a pagan person because of the goddess. Because I wanted to worship a goddess. I wanted to have a goddess as my matriarch, because like many of us, I come from Christianity and the Abrahamic belief and motto is more misogynistic and male-centric. And so they have the Virgin Mary in the Catholic Church, but it's not really the same. She doesn't have the goddess status. She's more like a demigod or like a daimon. And so I've been working with Hecate now for like 2 years, more, maybe 3 years. And I never really wanted to have a relationship with any other gods before. I just wanted to be with just her and get to know her and have my experience with just her for now. And I've been contemplating the idea of having a male energy in my devotion, in my spirituality. I thought of going back to maybe Jesus, because even though that Jesus is a very, I don't know how to say, controversial for us witches, but not all of us, but some of us. It's very controversial because we don't want to go back to the way we were, but now that I have become this adult in a pagan setup and have experienced other cultures, and I look at the story of Jesus so differently now than what it was. Like back when I was a Christian, it was built on guilt and a lot of sacrifice to be part of, to him being part of you. But now that I am a pagan person exposed to different religions and beliefs, I don't look at Jesus the way that I used to look at him, and his message, I have learned to interpret it in a different way, in a more self-love way. But I didn't resonate with that idea of having Jesus back in my life. I wanted to continue my experience as a pagan with the Olympian gods and the Greek pantheon, and sort of that, like the Hellenic belief that they used to have back then, and just wanted to keep it in that genre, I guess how you say it. And Hades has always been kind of like a misunderstood god, so he was always very intriguing to me and appealing. And since Hecate is part of the story, his story and his pantheon, Hecate has dominion over earth, sky and water. So earth is his dominion. Hades' dominion is the underworld, which is the earth itself under the earth. Is his dominion, and Hecate has a part in that, and she has keys to the underworld. He has given her keys to the underworld, and he has trusted Kerberos with her, and Kerberos is his dog, his three-headed dog that accompanies him and helps him take care of the underworld. So it seems kind of like natural that I would levitate towards Hades. And I was really wanting a book like this. I mean, I've been doing doing research for Hecate. Like when you start doing research for one god, you tend to find out about other gods and other deities, and other gods and deities is the same thing, about other spirits, and my God, this town is so loud. So as I was doing research for Hecate and reading about the Greek mythology stories and stuff like that, I will always come across Hades. Hades was always present, as well as Persephone and Demeter. And but with Hades, I've in this book it talks about his daughters that I didn't know were he has daughters. With Hades, you will learn about Kerberos, Chiron, his daughters. Nyx also, Erebos, god of darkness, Nyx, goddess of night, Hypnos, a daemon of sleep, Thanatos, a daemon of death. Like, these are entities that are part of the underworld, and Hades governs over them. And so they're part of his pantheon, and they will be part of your pantheon once you start um, learning about Hades and his mythology and what resonates with him. And so his daughters, I didn't know anything about his daughters until now that I learn about them through this book. Because I've been concentrating really the good death, because this is very interesting that she talks about death the way that she talks about death in this book, because back in the ancient times, people had to deal with the dead. Like now in modern times, there's people that, you know, are in charge of the body when it dies, and they clean it up and they put makeup on it, and you know, like there's people in charge of that, and the family, they don't do that. Back in ancient times, the family had to dealt with that, you know, like clean the body, use oils and herbs so it won't stink, you know, like the smell, the strong smell of decay wouldn't overwhelm them. And so with oils and things like that, they prepare the body so they can have the ritual to send the body and the spirit to the underworld. And so that's why it was easier for them, and it was better for them to deal with death than how we deal with death now. And there's people that mourn for like years, especially if your mother dies or your father, someone really close to you that you really, really love. The mourning part of that stays with you for years. And in ancient times, it was different because they had to deal with the body, with, you know, like they would mourn them and stuff like that, but they would have this ritual for days before they will like discard of the body. Like they would bury the body, some will burn the body and scatter the ashes, and like different types. But mainly what they would do, they would bury the bodies. The Greeks usually would bury the bodies, and so it was like a whole ceremony, and the whole family was involved, and they were dealing with the death that way. And so she will call this the good death. And so she talks about death because, you know, Hades is also the king of the dead, of the shades. They call them the shades in the book. And so it talks about the daughters of Hades. I don't know if they are daughters also of Persephone. I think one is and the other one is not, and they're both associated with the dead. So Makaira, the primary source reference to Makaira is found in Suda, an encyclopedic Byzantine Greek lexicon containing approximately 30,000. I don't know, wait, hold on. Okay, so it says here, primary sources vary widely in their opinions on whether or not Hades has any offsprings, and considering that he is the ruler of the dead, whether or not he can even father children at all. Among the mythology figures that Hades is reported to have possibly fathered are Macaria, Melinoe, Macaria and Melinoe. I don't know. Macaria and Melinoe. And Zagreus, and the Erinyes. When it comes to working with the death in a ritual or magical sense, Hades' daughters Macaria and Melinoe are of particular importance. The goddess Macaria is the embodiment of blessed death, when the soul is settled, happy, and at peace in the underworld. Melinoe, on the other hand, is the goddess of unsettled ghosts and spirits, the restless dead, and those who hunt the living because they are unable to cross over to the underworld. And this is very interesting because Hecate also is the goddess who guides the restless death. Like they accompany her whenever they say that whenever Hecate shows up, she comes in with her posse of restless dead, with the restless dead. And it's very interesting because they have never mentioned this in anything that I have read with Hecate, and that is Melinoe. Macaria is more like the good death, and she is dealing with the happy death. And I guess this video to get too long, I just wanted to let you know, as a pagan witch, about this book. I wanted to let you know about this book because it's really good. And if you're looking to have a relationship with Hades, if you're interested in getting to know Hades, I think this is the best book right now to read on him. I mean, it's the first book that I encounter with only his name. I haven't really researched him or anything. Like I say, I've learned anything about Hades, and it has been through Hecate and her books that I have read, and always was intrigued. And I am also intrigued with Persephone. And I think it's very normal and natural to incline to learn more about the dark goddesses and gods. And so I guess it was about to happen that I would like have an altar for Hades. And I wanted to do this today. It was very significant to do this today, on the day of the solar eclipse. It's about to happen, actually. It's going to be 2 o'clock very soon. So, and I wanted to show you let me get it out of here, the phone. So I wanted to show you what I did. So I made this candle. This is Hades. This is his sigil. This is some other sigils I made, especially for today, for the solar eclipse and the new moon. And these are just bookends that I got many years ago. There's the other one. To me, they look like they're Minoans. But more like Buddhist, I guess. Ay, cuidado, nena. Let me take this out of here. So in the book, it says that one of the plants that are sacred to Hades is rosemary and bay leaves. So I wanted to get them not in the dry form. So I put them here for him as an offering. And I got some coins, because coins are also sacred to Hades in his epithet Plouton. And then the crystals and stones, which are part of the underworld, crystals and stones, of course, especially crystals, you find them in the earth. So you have to dig inside the earth to find them. And so that's why they're precious to Hades. I think diamonds are also very precious to Hades, and also copper, gold, silver, because you find all of this inside the earth. So this is Kerberos right here. I had him for a very long time now. And there's this spell that I told you about that I learned about it through the PGM, the Greek magical papyri. And then I put that there. I know that's silly, but representing the dead. And then this candle and this I don't know. I thought she might be representing of like the Furies. That's Hecate, but it could be a Fury. And that's it. I wanted to put, there's a coffin there. I wanted to put this here representing Persephone, but right now she suggested that when you raise an altar for Hades, to just have Hades there as the main god, as the, so I got this statue on Etsy. It's kind of cute. It is, I didn't want the usual one that they have, which depicts him as like kind of old. I mean, he looks old here, I guess. I don't know, his face. I wait, hold on. Let me see if it, like this, right? I guess. I don't know, I like this statue better than the other ones I saw. And so I just have this right now here for him, and I wanted to raise his altar today. It's significant today to make this, since it's the solar eclipse. April 8th, I think is today. So, and last night, because I made this last night. And last night, I'm telling you, I felt uncomfortable sleeping. Like, I not uncomfortable, I mean, I was just like, I felt scared. I felt this presence that there was someone in the room. There was it felt like I felt scared. Like, oh my God, what have I done? Have I raised this altar? And I didn't. I said out loud, Hades, if you're here, you're welcome. You're welcome to be here. Thank you for coming. If it's you, please stay. If it's not you, Hecate, please take this entity out of here. Askei kataskei, askeon kataskeon, lexte tractamna meneos haision. That's like a magikai, a voice of magikai that you say when you want bad spirits to leave. But yeah, it felt like, I felt a sinister presence in my bedroom last night. Because, you know, they say when you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, it means that the spirit or the universe is calling you to wake up, to maybe address your third eye, address whatever. Because at that time, since everybody's sleeping and you're the only one awake, your senses are more powerful, and you can connect more with spirit, with yourself, with your third eye. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. I hope you like it. I hope I wasn't mumbling about a topic that I'm not very expert in. I'm not an expert in, and but I hope you get something out of it, out of this video, and I hope you have a blessed new moon. And of course, be careful out there in the solar eclipse. And I do have a pair of glasses that, let me see if I find it. Where is my pair of glasses? Oh, here it is. So I'm ready to watch, ready to watch. So, okay, bye guys. It was wonderful to talk to you, and blessed be.